Come to Helmuth Ford, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shuttler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
The band Full Circle is coming to rock the Keswick Tavern this Saturday, May 31st from 8 to midnight. Full Circle is a professional 5-piece band playing popular 100% danceable covers of classic rock, pop, and R&B from the 1970s through today. The Keswick Tavern is located at 117 South Irons in Keswick. So make plans this Saturday night to meet your friends at the Keswick Tavern for the band Full Circle. As always, there's no cover charge at the Keswick Tavern. Jace Race 2025 is Saturday, June 7th at the North Mahaska Junior Senior High School in New Sharon. The 5K starts at 8 a.m., followed by the 1-mile fun run. To sign up, use the links on the North Mahaska Education Foundation's Facebook page. Pre-registration guarantees you a t-shirt, but you can also sign up the day of the race. There will be some giveaways and first-place prizes. In memory of Jace Carrico, who passed in 2008, the Carrico family appreciates the community's support.
Southern Iowa, it's rodeo time. The 2025 Albia Chamber Main Street Rodeo returns Saturday, June 7th at the Monroe County Fairgrounds. Rogue Rodeo brings us 8 thrilling events, a bull ride showdown, comedy from Ronald Burton, and the dazzling Diamonds and Dust performance. Gates open at 5 p.m. for food, fun, and high-energy action await. Tickets on sale now at albiachambermainstreet.org. Adults $15 in advance, $20 at the gate. Kids only $10. Saddle up for a night of tradition and thrill. Don't miss it.
Neil.
Hey, man, what's up?
You want to do some radio?
Radio? I haven't been on the radio for a long time. But yeah, that'd be cool.
Cool.
Skunk River Radio. Let's get skunky.
Hey, and welcome in. It is time for the Tuesday night tune-up. We are live, as always, from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch, and we do thank all of our sponsors. Of course, the Pizza Ranch is our headline sponsor, our host venue. Make sure you stop in on Tuesday nights and every night for some great chicken and pizza. We also thank Nutrien Ag Solutions in Keswick, Iowa, Sigourney Body Shop, Julie's Homestyle Cafe, Copeland Auto Body, Sinclair Napa, James Family Greenhouse, and Sigourney Motors, all making things possible here on the Tuesday night tune-up. Again, we're live at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. Let's take it to our host, Saif Grafke. We've got Curtis Vanderwall with us. We've got Ashley from Pizza Ranch. We've got Brayden Wood coming up, and Cole Vanderwall as well. We got a whole bunch of folks hanging out with us this evening here at the Pizza Ranch. Saif, take it away.
Welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up, and we are so happy to be here at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch, and we are so happy to have Ashley back up here with us. Nice, Ashley. Thank you. So last week, you guys had an absolute busy Tuesday night up here. You had one of your wonderful community impact nights for the Knoxville Nazarene Youth Group, and why don't you tell folks a little bit about what happens here on a community impact night?
So, our community impact nights, basically we're giving a percentage of all of our sales to various organizations that we're working with. This last week, like you said, it was the Nazarene. We were able to raise close to $800 for them on that one night, which is absolutely amazing. It's so great to see so many of our community members out here making a difference, supporting each other, really stepping up.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very big deal, and it's nice to see that it's more than just Mahaska County that can benefit from these nights. That was able to go towards someone in Marion County. So it's just amazing that you guys are able to show it's more than just Mahaska County. It's these other counties that can reach out and come here and do something. It's just truly spectacular.
Yep.
And actually, is that the best way? If there's organization that is interested in doing the same thing, is it best just to have them contact you all directly here at the store? Is that? Yep.
Just give us a call. Myself or Marla are more than happy to set that up for you. We'll walk you through the steps to get you going, get your date set up, figure out exactly how we're going to raise the money, whether it is a certain percentage of the sales that we make or whether it's auctioning off items like free pizza for a year, free buffets, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty slick that you've got some different options and stuff.
Yep. That's nice. And another thing, I don't know if people always have necessarily known this, but it's nice if you want to have a party here. You guys do have 2 reserved rooms here, and why don't you tell us a little bit about what goes into that if someone calls up and they want to reserve a room here at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch for like a birthday or something.
Yeah, just give us a call here at the store. More than happy. We just put you in the book. We have 2 big rooms. One seats 40, one seats 65. There's no charge for those rooms as long as you're eating. There's no minimum or maximum amount of time that you can keep that room either. As long as we know in advance, we'll make it happen for you.
Sounds like you guys are extremely accommodating, and that's a great thing for birthday parties or anniversaries or
Whatever you need us for.
multitude of different occasions, just a family gathering or whatever.
And the nice thing is you guys don't do that just as well with the rooms. You guys actually do catering as well now here at Pizza Ranch, correct?
We absolutely do. We have several different specials that you can do with a certain amount of chicken, sides, cactus bread, dessert pizza, cheese sticks. We can do catering for pizzas, and there's some really good deals right now. I know we have a rodeo special for $179 that feeds 50, which is a pretty good deal.
That is a really good deal.
Yeah, that is. I mean, you break that down by the person, and you're talking about
dollars,
$3, $3.50, something like that. So that's sounds like an awesome deal. So that's really cool. And again, for the listeners and watchers, the best thing to do is just reach out directly on the phone or on the Facebook page. Stop on in.
Facebook too. Yeah, stop on in. Myself or Marla is always here. We're more than happy to accommodate anyone in the community that really needs us.
Absolutely, and that's just another awesome thing that you guys are doing here, and we're so thankful for you and Marla and the rest of the staff here at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch, and just thank you for what you guys do here, and thank you for giving us a place to come and do this. It means a lot to Steve and Curtis and myself, so
we love having you.
Well, thank you so much. Well, you guys look busy here tonight with your kids' night, so we're going to let you get back over there and do what you guys do best here, and we'll handle the rest of the show.
As a reminder, Thursday night.
Ooh, wing night.
Boom.
Come in after 4 o'clock. We've got our boneless wings, our bone-in wings. Usually have wedges on the bar, mac and cheese. All you can eat. Come see me.
Perfect. We will definitely be here. We're going to have to do a wing eating contest one of these times.
I think we get Cole and you going.
Ooh. Challenge, Cole. He's accepting it.
Yeah,
okay.
He's got the grin going on.
There we go. We'll have to do a TNT and call it the Thursday night special, and then we'll do a wing eating contest after live.
There you go.
All right, Ashley. We'll let you get back to it now. So thank you again. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Well, all right, folks. This was Ashley with the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with our interview segment with Brayden Wood here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
When you need a break, Pizza Ranch is ready. Rough day or good day, sometimes you just need a buffet. And we've got all your favorites always ready to serve. Come to the place that puts a smile on your face. Make it a buffet day at Pizza Ranch.
At Nutrien Ag Solutions, we are dedicated to your success. We partner with growers like you to expand your possibilities with unparalleled offerings. Your unique challenges are met with more customized solutions than anyone else can offer. With you, we're feeding the future together.
If you've had a run-in with a deer, a fender bender, or any sort of accident with your vehicle, take it to Tony and the guys at Sigourney Body Shop at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. They'll get you back on the road in no time, and Tony will help you out with a free estimate. It's service with a smile at Sigourney Body Shop. Give them a call at 641-622-2022, or again, stop in at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. Julie's Homestyle Cafe at 216 South Market in Oskaloosa is a small place with a great big taste of home cooking. Established in 2009, Julie's Homestyle Cafe serves breakfast, lunch. You can have a slice of pie, dessert, and soft drinks. Julie's Homestyle Cafe is a veteran-owned cafe serving traditional breakfast and homemade lunch meals just like Mom used to make. Find more information at julieshomestyle.cafe.com or follow their page on Facebook. All right, we are back here live. We are at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. Stop in. They are open until 8 o'clock on this Tuesday evening. We are doing the Tuesday night tune-up, and we do have our race guest for the evening. Let's welcome in Mr. Brayden Wood with Wood Racing. Saif and Curtis, take it away.
Alrighty, well, as you said here, Steve, we have the driver of the number 52B Hobby Stock hailing from Sigourney, Iowa, Brayden Wood. Brayden, thanks for coming on the show with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So last year at Bridget's, we got to talk to you and your dad about racing last year, and that was your first year behind the wheel. You're into year number 2 right now, and why don't you tell us some of the biggest differences from last year, from where we were to right now with the 52B program?
Well, I guess I would say the biggest difference is confidence, really. It's the same race car. Everything on it's about the exact same, but I guess the driver's just got a little more experience, and it shows a little bit.
I'm telling you, that experience and confidence, man, that's really a lot of what it takes. So kudos to you for being able to recognize that at a relatively young age.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's hard. And, you know, one of the things you have is, and Cole is the same way with you, Curtis, is having a father that has raced a car to give some of that insight. How big has the knowledge book from your dad and the people around you been so far?
It's huge. And I just want to thank my dad for that, because he makes it a lot easier, when we show up to the track. And you can just reading the racetrack takes a lot, and it's just a lot easier when you're standing there talking to him and he says, well, you're not going to be able to go into turn 1. You're going to have to lift a little bit here. You're going to spin out, or you can stick it in the mud up there with your right side tires, and it's going to stick tonight, or something like that. And it's just it plays a big role, because it takes a lot of pressure off of me, I think, as a driver, to know that I've got somebody that knows what's going on, and he believes in me, and that just gives me more confidence.
Absolutely, and that is huge, and confidence is very key in a race car. I don't care what kind of racing you're in, confidence is everything, and I know you can attest to that.
Yeah,
Curtis, and what that's like.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, that's really what generally separates really good guys from great guys. Really good guys still have super good equipment. They still know what to do. But there's that little extra that's probably undefinable, other than being confident makes that difference. And whether it's in decision making, whether it's in car placement, throttle application, I mean, any of those things, even all the way back to setup changes, right? Just having a confidence of this is the right thing that I need to do, and I'm going to do this because that's what I think I need. I think it all plays into it, and I think you're exactly right.
So how key is it in the hobby stocks? It's a lot different than a modified, a sport mod, a stock car, any of these other classes. When you get down to the nitty gritty of a setup, I mean, there aren't as many shocks, and it's kind of more like there's a slick shock and a tacky shock, and that's really about it. How important is it on a hobby stock to get your shock package correct now?
I would say it's a huge deal, because like you said, you can't change you can't move lead around or anything like that on a hobby stock. You're not supposed to have lead in them at all. So you've got to get right on your springs and your shocks, or you're going to be way off the pace, just because that's about all you can change on them to make your setup faster.
And so another thing is, and we talked to Cale Hemsley a little bit about this last week, and this is a big thing right now, still is the tire game on hobby stocks. And we talked about this a little bit before the show, but I think now, and Curtis, you're free to chime in on this because you know tires a little bit too. You've been in this a long time. But
Maybe.
right now, how hard is it searching for that replacement of a Primewell tire?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, we've been fortunate enough that I think every night that I've ran, I don't know, I think I ran 12 nights last year. I've run 2 or 3 if you want to count the double features this year. We've had a Primewell on the right rear every single race. So I've been fortunate enough that we haven't had to deal with that problem yet, but you can't. Those aren't going to last forever, and we're running out. So I think that's a huge deal because you lose traction if you don't have a good tire, and that's what we've got. Some people that know what they're doing, and we've tried some different things, but we've got other ones to try. But right now, we've been lucky enough to stick with the Primewells, and then we've got a couple of different tires other than on the right rear that we'll probably have to resort to eventually.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. You know, the Primewell was just the standard for literally everybody. You know, for the better part of a decade, and it just got to be, you know, when that was discontinued and there was really no suitable replacement, it really made it. It really changed everything, and that's kind of what Cale alluded to last week. You know. Here they are in the second or third year of that, and they're still searching around, and there's no clear cut. You got to have this Kenda or this Dunlop or this Goodyear or whatever, right? I mean, it's some of that's cool because it allows the innovator to go out there and research and look and try and find something. But on the other hand, there's never been less tires available in that specific size, you know.
Yeah.
There's not too much call for 15-inch tires anymore. So I don't know. I mean, me personally, I think that at some point we're going to see a spec tire in the hobby stock deal like there is in the sport mod stock car modified stuff. I think that at some point there just has to be. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? You think that's on the horizon or coming,
you know,
maybe?
Here's my thing with all of this, and this is just going to general racing, I think, overall, is we keep coming back on the rising cost of racing, and it is hard. It's a challenge. And the thing is, I think we're at the point where we're just going to have to deal with that. To me, it's unfortunate that some of these sanctioning bodies are saying you have to run parts stamped with our names on it, and that kind of and honestly, it does affect the cost of that part.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no getting around that. So we have that, and then, you know, a G60 Hoosier used to run like $100 or so.
The first year that we were the dealer in the area, they were $99 to the
and
racer.
now they're what, 187 or a little less than that?
157.
Okay, 157. So that's the thing. I wonder if eventually they're just going to say, okay, you know what, everyone's just going to run a G60, hobby stocks, whatever. I think that'd be a horrible choice because I think that's way too big of a tire for a hobby stock, in my own opinion.
Yeah, I think
but they're
going
to have to do something. They're either going to have to go and find like a common 16-inch or something else, but that's going to mess up a lot of stuff. And the problem is, I think they've made it to where there's not really a great solution. And then if you go to a spec tire, what is that going to look like? Is it going to be something where you have to go to Speedway or a dealer for that stuff instead of just going to your local tire shop and walking into a guy that's been sponsoring you for 10 plus years or 5 plus years or whatever and being like, hey, get me a tire or I need a tire, and said, nope, you can't do that. You're out of luck. You know. That's what I would be worried about.
I get that, and that's a very good point. The same thing kind of happened in the Primewell, though. Not too many years ago, that was a $50 tire, and then it was a $60 and a $70 and a $75 So I think that some of that just happens with rising production costs.
Absolutely.
The other option that I could see is maybe these sanctioning bodies will go away from the 205 designation and maybe allow like an 8-inch wheel on a hobby stock and go to maybe like a 225 tire. I don't know. I'd be interested to know that future and see what that looks like. I don't know that. I don't know
think there's
that
a good answer yet.
Yeah, and I don't know that there has to be an answer yet. I don't know that it's X amount of time before we need to decide that. But as it is, there's fewer options every day.
How do you feel about this?
Yeah,
I mean, you're the next. I mean, that's the thing is you're the next generation. How do you see this going?
Yeah. Well, like you look at USRA, and I don't know for sure, but I believe that the USRA hobby stocks, they are running the American Racer tire now.
I think you're right. I think that
you're
they're
right.
on the same tire.
You think about it that way, and no, I don't think the G60 would be the way to go, but it's very possible that could happen, and I honestly don't know what the answer would be, but you're right, there is a lack of the DOT tire anymore for the hobby stocks, but I don't know exactly where they would go, and that's just part of it. Is you've got to be able to find the tires that are out there, and whatever works for you works.
And another thing I think is big in a hobby stock is, and I talked to Kale about this last week, and it's good to hear from you and you both, Curtis, is you guys don't have quick steer. It's stock power steering, or some guys try to run a stock appearing box that is not stock. I know
that would
those are
never happen.
We know it's out there. We know it's out there. It's been happening for years. We're just gonna get right to it. So, if we're gonna have something with a tire where it might have to become a Hoosier, how do we feel about the power steering on these cars? Should there be something different on a hobby stock then? Because that's a big old tire. I mean,
you're not
so then
wrong.
it's like, so then basically it's a stock car that you just can't do as much to, and the evolution has changed and the technology has changed so much. And is it time where the hobby stocks really need kind of a hard reset? How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, because all of a sudden you get to the point where you're down to very few differences. They've already got headers, they've already got floaters, different shocks, different carburetor, different power steering pump, different steering body. Those sort of things are really, 7-inch wheel and the street tire. I mean, after that, no lead. I mean, what else am I?
Yeah.
What am I missing?
Weight jacks.
Right.
That,
weight jacks and racing shocks.
And you see guys that convert hobby stocks to stock cars anyway. I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing. So what do we?
Absolutely.
I mean, what's next for hobby stocks?
Yeah, and maybe a company like Hoosier works with IMCA, and they develop. Hoosier's owned by Continental Tire, right?
Yep.
So maybe they develop a Continental or a Hoosier DOT approved tire that then becomes a spec tire maybe for the hobby stock deal to keep that differential as wide as possible. I don't know what it looks like, but the good news is I think as we've discussed here, there's some options.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel on that, Brayden?
Yeah, I think that would be much better than going straight to the same tires that are being ran on the stock car or sport motor or anything like that, because like Curtis said, you're taking the differences away, and we see it. I mean, you see it in the stock cars too. They're getting more and more advanced, and they're really becoming more like modifieds every day.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely,
in a way, it takes the competitiveness out of it, because some guys just can't compete if you're going to keep advancing the sport like that.
So here's something I want to ask you, because you are a newer driver into it. The guys that we see switching from stock car classes and such and coming back down to hobby stocks, how do you feel about it? I'm just curious. I think this is a thing that we're seeing a lot of this year, is there are guys that have been in stock cars and whatnot in other classes, and they're coming back down to hobby stocks and racing hobby stocks. I'm just curious on how everyone feels. Now, I know obviously there's a huge cost difference between running a stock car and running a hobby stock, and I understand that's probably a huge part of it, but I'm just curious on thoughts of, or even guys that run hobby stocks and stock cars and other classes as well. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, honestly, and I've had mixed opinions about this from when I started last year, but I would agree with you that the cost is definitely a big part, and the time too. Like, we were just on the tire topic, and tires alone, I mean, that's probably the biggest. Other than what is actually in the car, tires are so much different between a hobby stock and a stock car. You take, I groove most of Dad's tires, and it probably takes me an hour to groove a tire all the way. And a hobby stock tire, you don't do anything to really. So that just the time and then the money. A hobby stock tire doesn't cost as much as a stock car tire either. So that's a big part of it, really, in my opinion, is the time and the money. Yeah. And I don't really have a huge problem, I guess, with guys that have ran stock cars running hobby stocks, because you're always there's guys that have been running hobby stocks for 25 years that probably could have gone up to a stock car and haven't. So at the same time, it's the guys that are good, and you've just got to get better. And if you can't beat them, then you can't beat them. But you've got to find a way to beat them either way, if they're there or not.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm not going to be the guy that says, just because this guy tried to run a stock car maybe for a few years and realized that, whoa, this is way more budgetary or way more time commitment than I'm interested in doing. What's the other alternative, right? He could stop racing altogether, or maybe switch back to a different class. And conversely, the opposite is true. A guy that maybe has run hobby stocks for most of his career, and he's that's the right size for him at that point, right? And it's not up really to any of us to say, oh yeah, you need to move to something else, because I think as fans we're selfish, right? Because, oh man, this guy's been really good in this class, and I'd love to see him move up and take on this other class, to add some more excitement to that class, and that's well and good, but and I think that's genuine, but at the same time, I don't know that any of us can really fully grasp.
We're not
that.
here to judge.
Yeah, right.
And that's the thing, and I think that's what I think is hard for a lot of people to grasp, is the cost association with this. I mean, any class, it is a lot of money. I mean, I hear guys in sport compacts that spend as much as a guy that has a hobby stock, and you hear
maybe
guys
more
that,
in some cases,
right, or a guy that has a hobby stock that spends almost as much as a guy that runs a stock car or whatever. But you're just going to have that, and I think you hit the nail on the head. You're just going to have to deal with it. It's going to be something. It just is what it is, and it all comes down to what can you do and what can you race in. And I think it's important that we have cars, and that's the thing, is there are less cars now than there was 15, 20 years ago, and I think that's hard, and that's hard for fans, and I think that's even hard for drivers. I mean, Brayden, growing up, going to the track with your dad when you were really young, why don't you tell us what that was like?
Yeah.
Seeing what it was then to versus now that you're racing.
I'm 17 years old, and I've been going to the racetrack my entire life, and it's a big difference. And you see it, and I love going to Oski, but it's a big racetrack, and some people don't like that. They say it's hard on your car, and it probably is, but I don't know. I just think if you take care of it in the right way, you'll be fine. But there's people that say that it's too big of a racetrack, it's too hard on your motor and stuff like that, and you see it in the car count. I mean, Oski 10 years ago, they were getting full fields in every class almost, and now, and you saw it with like the modified, the A-mods, they don't run there anymore because they lost the interest a few years ago, and now we're seeing it in all the classes. And you're right, it probably is just because there isn't enough, or there aren't as many cars out there in the racing community, and then two, they just it has become such a time consuming, and it costs so much that they can't afford to race 3 or 4 nights anymore when Oski's on Wednesday nights, and then they're trying to go to Columbus Junction or Marshalltown on Friday and Donaldson or Boone on Saturday. So, but yeah, it's definitely changed a lot. You used to see 20 cars in each class at Oski like it was nothing, and now it's a good night if they draw 15 cars in a class.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you know, the thing that I think is important too to keep in mind is way back in the day, right? Everybody talks about the glory days or the glory years. You know, that was also 3 classes,
right?
You know, so you know, in today's world, if we run 5, then just even if there was the exact same amount of cars around or that were coming, the math doesn't lie. It's going to tell you that you're going to have a few less cars in each class because you've got 2 more classes now today. So, and I'm not saying by any stretch that we have too many classes. I don't think that at all. I think that Brayden hit the nail on the head, though. You know, some guys don't like the bigger tracks. You know, it does demand more. You know, you've got to have better parts and pieces on the car. You've got to you've got to make sure that everything is exactly right, and even when it's exactly right, it's still possible to not get the job done. So it is demanding, and that's just back to whatever somebody wants to do. They have a race car, they can go run all small tracks if they want. They can run medium-sized tracks. They can run some of each. It's totally up to us. Now, obviously, selfishly, for our local track, I want everybody to come there on Wednesday nights. I think it's wonderful because it kind of leaves your weekends free then if you got a family and stuff. But not everybody views it that way, so that's totally fine.
Absolutely. So, Brayden, I have a couple questions left for you here, and one is, so you raced about 12 nights last year. You've ran 3 or 4, however many you want to count that as so far this year. What's one piece of advice that right now Brayden would have gave himself last year at the beginning of the season?
I would say that it'd probably be that you can't get too far ahead of yourself, because 2 years ago I didn't have a hobby stock, and I was a fan. I helped my dad with his car, and the bottom of the line is when you're going to the racetrack with Dad, the expectation is that you're going to win, or there's no reason to go. But as a first year racer, that for me, that couldn't be the expectation. There's some guys that maybe race go-karts or something that they go into it expecting to win. But I would just say that I would tell myself that you can't get too far ahead of yourself, because it is, you can listen to all the people in the stands at school ask why'd you get 8th place, or it's not that hard, but really it is. I mean, it's way harder than it looks when you sit in that driver's seat. You cannot prepare for that without getting the laps and getting the time. So I think it's just, you've got to know that it takes time to be good in a sport like this, just like any sport, really.
Yeah, I think you're right. And here's one that I've used over the years. I heard this from Doug Wolfgang, was telling a guy was kind of razzing him at Knoxville one night, and I heard him said, "Hey man, I've never watched a race that I couldn't have won either." So the fan was kind of giving him a bunch of guff, and he's like, "Hey, it's real easy from up there." So yeah, take that with a grain of salt, right? I mean, not everybody understands the time commitment, the financial commitment, and then the internal commitment, right? You're committing to doing the best you can and being better today than you were last Wednesday, right? And the Wednesday before that. And there's going to be steps forward and there's going to be steps back, and that's part of the learning process. And we go through that same thing with Cole. It's just really it's just part of it, right? And there's no substitute for laps, and that's one thing that when we're dealing with newer drivers, that you just, if it's broken or it's torn up or it's not running right, it's hard to learn if any of those things are happening. So make all the laps, run as much of the race as you can, learn as much as you can, and then fix it all up and clean it up and do it again next week.
That might be the greatest thing that I've heard from a young racer so far. And young man, you are going to go places and you are going to win some races with that attitude. That is fantastic. So
it is.
Brayden, if people want to come see the 52B on the racetrack, Where all is the car going to be at this year that people can find you?
Well, so far we've just been at Oski. We've raced. So the first night I got lucky. I was gone in Oklahoma for national land judging competition. The first night on the 30th, I think it was, of April. But they rained out in the middle of the show, and luckily they had not gotten the hobby stock feature in yet. So we went back the next week and ran the double features. And the week after that, I ran at Oski, and then we got rained out last week. But Oski's the only place that I've gone yet this year. And my sister Ainsley and my sister Charlie both have softball games. They play on the same team. They've got softball on Friday nights. So maybe when that gets over, we'll try and head over to Columbus Junction. I would like to go over there at some point. And then maybe head down to Donaldson at some point on Saturday nights too. But my brother, Mason, he plays baseball on the weekends. And like Curtis said earlier, that's just part of it, is where the Wednesday nights have always been the race night, and then on the weekends you can go do other things than race. Yeah. So I'm okay with that as long as I get to keep racing on Wednesday nights. That's
Absolutely.
Fine with me.
Yeah, well, that's great.
That's awesome.
You know, earlier when you walked in, you had 3 sheets of paper, all full of everyone that is on the 52B car, which is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life.
I think you could have maybe used smaller font.
No, I actually don't think he could have, Curtis. I'm quite impressed. So we're going to let you go on here for the next few minutes because it'll take that long to go through everyone that helps out on the 52B car.
All righty. Well, first off, I want to thank Steve for having me on here tonight.
Hey, look at that.
Steve Shetler Media is a sponsor on the 52 car this year. And then I want to thank my grandpa Deke, because without him, neither my dad or neither of us would be racing. And that's just Curtis knows Grandpa. And
he's as good as they come, man. I'm telling you.
He's been doing it for a long time now, and without him, I don't think either of us would be able to race. So I want to thank him. I want to thank my stepmom, Sarah, because you might not see her changing tires or anything like that at the racetrack, but she holds it all together for Dad and I, and she puts up with it. So I want to thank her. Then I want to thank my dad, because without him, I don't think I could do it either. I mean, he's been my mentor, I guess, in this, and has, in a way, I think, taken a step back in his racing career to allow me to start, even though he does still get to race some. And then I want to thank my mom, my stepdad Mike, for allowing me to do this as well, because I know and Grandma Susie and Aunt Amanda and everyone else that's up in the stands could probably agree that it is a little nerve-wracking to see somebody out there on the racetrack, but I enjoy it. I want to thank Uncle Doug for being there. He's there almost every week, too. My Grandpa Mark, he never misses a race. Grandpa Doug and Grandma Julie, they don't miss either. The Seeley family, even if they've got baseball, they try and make it over. And then one of the guys that I need to thank the most is Jim Toll. And I think you guys have probably met Jim a time or two.
A few times.
There's not many people like Jim in the world.
There is not.
Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I wouldn't be able to do it without Jim. He owns my car. It is a 26-year-old Ray Knipe chassis. I don't know how many were built, but there can't be. I imagine it's about the only one left. He owns the car, so I want to thank him and Toll Farms for allowing us to drive his car every week. Bill Gibson, he builds our motors. Owen Minke, he's in my class, and he comes almost every week as well to help out on the car. Schroeder Graphics, Middle Coop Seed Corn, they're one of the biggest sponsors on the 52. My Aunt Kathy, Tyler and Katie Book, Sigourney Body Shop, Bruxford Farm, Sinclair Napa, Cool Seamless Gutters, Warehouse Barbecue, Oski Dental, Minke Farms, Ed and Denise and Eddie Conrad, Searin Pork, Dean and Linda Searin, AG Plumbing and the AG family. They're one of those race families that we get to hang out with.
Oh yes.
And that's another thing about racing is you you meet other people that if there wasn't racing, you would never meet these people, and that's one of the great things about it.
Some of the best people you meet in the world are in racing.
Yes.
So.
It's true. It's 100% true.
Holland Coble Funeral Home, Fairfield Pest Control, Mather Farms, Johnny Mertz and Mertz Tomatoes. Aunt Di,
some of the finest tomatoes in southeast Iowa, right?
They're great.
That's my cousin.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
My Aunt Di and Uncle Ronnie, Freddie Snakenberg, Chuck and Will Moore, the Stanton family and Sean Stanton Motorsports. That's another family that we haven't been able to see them this year at the races, but hopefully they come down to Oski at some point. Shelly Crum and Crum Farms, Iowa Crop Service, Linder Electric, Brothers Market, the Bender family, the Keswick Tavern, my Uncle Troy, Her Farms, Ozinga Feed, Iowa State Bank, Aunt Becky and Uncle Dan, the Copper Lantern, Renner Construction, Elward Crop Insurance, Bernie's Bar and Grill in Richland, Jordan Wood and Wood Automotive, Schroeder Frame and Alignment, Faded Barbershop, Kerr Construction, Barn Wired, Sigourney Turbo Wash.
1 page left, folks.
One more.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. We can feel it.
Luke Morrison Farms, Blueberry Fields Forever, my Grandma Pam and Grandpa Rich, Roger and Debbie Iverson, the Derek Griner family, my Uncle Bryce and Aunt Devon, Rick and Sheila Peck, Nathan Clarahan Trucking, Tim and Kelly Redlinger, Polly Griner, Uncle Mickey, Coach Bruce Hahn, Brooke and Gary Howard, and then I want to shout out my Aunt Jo because I'm sure she's watching right now.
That's pretty amazing list.
Impressive.
Yes.
That's better than most cup teams.
Yeah.
I tell you what,
for
I've
the
never
record,
seen a list that big, ever.
I don't know that many people.
I don't either.
Let alone have that many people that like me or want to support my racing program. So kudos to you and your dad.
That is just truly remarkable. And as you have so many great people behind you, and we want to wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
In your second year, and you know, you're going to have that first victory soon, and Curtis and all of us here are really excited to hear about it. So.
Yeah, thank you.
I can't wait, buddy.
We can't.
We're looking forward to it, and know it's a short time in the future, and just continue to make your improvements where you can, and the future's bright, young man. It really is.
It is a lot of knowledge between your dad and everyone that helps you, and yeah, good luck, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Alrighty, folks.
Hey, before we get out of here, I'm coming from a Sigourney perspective. We always got to get an update because Brayden leads the Cobras coming up in the fall. I know you had your knee surgery here a while back
here
at
we
the
go,
end
football.
of basketball season, but how's the knee holding up? How you looking for the fall?
Oh, my knee's fine. It shouldn't, knock on wood, it should not be a problem in the fall, and that's how I wanted it to be, and that's part of the reason why I had the surgery get done and out of the way so I can be fully committed to the football program. I think it's going to be another great year. I think Coach Jensen would agree that that's kind of the expectation nowadays, but that's what you want as a community and as a team is to be great, and I think we will be, and I hope everyone comes out and supports the Cobras again this year.
Yeah, you just got done with your junior year, right? You're going to be you're officially a senior.
Yeah.
Now, so.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Good luck in football next year. Yeah.
Thank you.
No doubt, buddy.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, we're gonna let you get back to everything that's got to be done on the 52. Pending that tomorrow night we'll get to race. Looks like we got a little weather outside here at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch right now. So, Brayden, we want to thank you for coming on. Good luck. Good luck with football next year, leading the Cobras hopefully to a state championship there. So, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we will be back with Cole Vanderwall here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
At Copeland Auto Body, we strive to be the area's consistent provider of advanced collision repair. We want all of our customers to have a stress-free experience when they bring their car to Copeland Auto Body. Give them a call at 641-653-2140. Find them online at CopelandAutoBody.com. Copeland Auto Body, located in Hedrick, Copeland Collision Center in Oskaloosa, and Copeland Towing and Recovery in Sigourney. For auto body and towing for Hedrick, Oskaloosa, and Sigourney, see Copeland Auto Body. Got a problem under the hood? At Sinclair Napa, we're here to help. No matter if you're tuning up the family car, gearing up your heavy-duty truck, or maintaining your boat, we have the know-how you need to keep your ride running strong. Whether it's top-notch parts, expert advice, or unbeatable customer service, Sinclair Napa is your one-stop shop for all your automotive needs. Because at Sinclair Napa, we don't just sell parts, we're here to help you get the job done. Stop by today in Sigourney, Montezuma, Williamsburg, Centerville, or Ottumwa, or visit us at sinclairnapa.com. Stop by James Family Greenhouse and Produce in Sigourney. They have a variety of hanging baskets, annuals, shrubs, perennials, trees, mulch, and vegetable plants. Plus, you can spruce up your landscape with yard decor or decorate the inside of your home with home decor. James Family Greenhouse is also a great place to stop in for some gift ideas. You got to stop in and see it all for yourself. James Family Greenhouse at 701 East Jackson in Sigourney. And be sure to follow their page on Facebook. Sigourney Motors is a great place for quality used cars and trucks, and most vehicles are priced under $10,000. Right now featuring a blue 2012 Ford Fusion all-wheel drive. And also a 2010 Chevy Equinox LT. Runs and drives great, priced at just $74.95. Sigourney Motors also offers oil changes and maintenance repairs and more. Stop in and see CJ at 705 East Jackson in Sigourney. Call 641-224-8056 or email SigourneyMotors@gmail.com. Alrighty, we are back here live at, again, the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch for Tuesday Night Tune-Up. They are our host venue and our lead sponsor on TNT. We also thank Nutrien Ag Solutions in Keswick, Sigourney Body Shop, Julie's Homestyle Cafe, Copeland Auto Body, as well as Sinclair Napa, James Family Greenhouse, and Sigourney Motors. All right, we again thank Brayden Wood for being our main guest tonight, and now we take it back to Saif and the Vanderwall fellas. Saif,
yeah, well, look at this, one on each side. Oh boy, this is scary. Okay, so real quick, we got to talk to Cole 3 days after his first win here alone, but now it's time to hear from the proud Papa himself. Yeah. Curtis, why don't you take us through the last few laps there as a father about to watch his son win his first race?
Well, I tell you what, it was pretty magical and pretty special. My expectations for him coming into this year was, maybe in the second half of the year he could be contending for wins. But I think some of the improvements we made to the car and some of the things that he focused on in the off season have really started to show up. Now, the last couple of weeks, he's had some bad luck, some of it his own doing, and some of it just bad circumstances. But again, like we talked with Brayden, that's part of the learning process. But no, the night that he won, I was super, super, super happy for him. Just really excited. Very impressed because during the race, he made a lane change that probably ultimately won him the race. Just by putting the car, maybe not necessarily where it was the fastest, but where he needed to not let somebody pass him, and it was just really impressive. Now, on the flip side of that, starting up front makes it a little bit easier, and since he's kind of been climbing the point standings, that means he's going to start a little further back each week, so that adds another degree of difficulty, and also, let's face it, at CJ they've got a very good level of car quality down there, so
it's a very tough track to pick up a win at multiple times.
Yeah, it is, so I'm glad that he got it. He did great, and now it's the biggest thing though that I wanted to enjoy that, but the next week I wanted to make sure it's like, okay, now if we don't win again, it's still a good week. We can still have good races and not win. Absolutely. So I didn't want him to put that unneeded pressure on himself to think that that's got to be exactly what he does every week, because he's got 15 nights in the car, 18 nights in the car maybe. So he's still learning. But yeah, no, very, very proud as a dad. I actually thought I didn't realize it was a checkered flag when it was a checkered flag standing where I am standing. So that I was like, oh man, he's slowing down. Oh wait, the rest of them are slowing down. What's going on? So
yellow.
Like, oh no, it's going to be a green white checker deal, but nope, it was the checkered flag. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really really cool and very very exciting to be a part of. So very happy.
All right, cool. Shut up! I can't hear you over my money. What'd you think about that? Aaron Reitzel winning $100,000 at the Bob Weichert Memorial.
Well, first of all, I thought it was pretty amazing that race in 2 days went from 75,000 to win to 100,000.
Absolutely.
And then it kind of gave us our first preview of the year of who's better, Outlaw or High Limit.
And I think this is gonna open to the floor to everyone here. I don't know how much sprint car racing Cole's watched. Doesn't seem like a lot, especially after last week. But anyway, so here we'll go. We're going to open the floor to last year. It was a World of Outlaw showdown. The Outlaws are definitely still the best. They won about every big high limit race, World of Outlaw race, Knoxville Nationals, all that. And this year, boy, oh boy, the tables are starting to turn. What is going to happen possibly at the Knoxville Nationals this year?
Yeah,
what are we going to see?
That's a great question, and I wish that I could see it. Now, based on last weekend at Port Royal, I think you could say the high limit guys and the PA posse really made some of the we had the top two in outlaw points there, and one ran fifth and one ran eighth or ninth. So and then everybody else was PA posse. I guess Brown's a Knoxville regular. He's neither.
A guy that, and I'm gonna really burn some nerves here of some people. I don't really care. I could give two hoots less, but we're gonna go ahead and do this right now. Brian Brown drives number 21 Casey's FVP car. And he runs really good at Knoxville Raceway, and not really anywhere else. I think. Okay, let's be honest. He hasn't had the big wins at Eldora or any of these really other big races. Sometimes he gets up there. Normally, he has some bad luck happen. I mean, he isn't a guy where he goes on these big tours and tends to perform well. I think we can be honest about that.
Well, I thought that he won the Tuscarora 50 a few years ago at Port Royal in the fall, and I know when Knoxville's done, his team typically heads to Pennsylvania in the fall
so
and runs
won the Tusky, but that's really about it. If you look at guys that have won a lot at Knoxville, he hasn't even won the Nationals.
Well, no, but I mean that's a pretty finite list as well. So I get what you're saying, and that's I think that's a common sentiment in the wing sprint car deal.
Do you think that adds a lot on him though, pressure wise, to go to these events and perform? I guess I should reword at the end there. So high expectations?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he has those high expectations. I think that he does a wonderful job with his sponsors and getting the funding arranged to do that. And then he typically performs pretty good. Now, is he a top one or two guy in the country? No, but neither's anybody else compared to those two or three guys. So with that being said, I think that he's in the conversation to be in the top 10 or top 15 in the country. But I hear what you're saying as well,
I just feel like he's a guy where he has had this, I'm just going to say clout, because he really has. He has had this whole, he wins at the Knoxville Raceway all the time. He's so good at the Knoxville Raceway.
And he is.
He goes to some of these other tracks, and it's like, where's Brian Brown? Oh, he didn't transfer out of the B main tonight.
Yeah. And everybody can have those nights.
I agree.
But I hear what you're saying, and I think some of that is just from the focus that he puts on Knoxville, and how much different Knoxville is than literally anywhere else in the country. I was watching a video the other night from T-Mez, and he said that. He goes, man, I've been to every racetrack there is in North America, and there is no place like Knoxville. Yeah. Now, little does he know, Oskaloosa is very similar to Knoxville, but it's just completely different. It takes completely different things to be fast there, and that doesn't always equate to every other racetrack in the country, and that's that's his business model. That's how he operates. But again, I think he would say that I want to be more successful when I travel to other places, but there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Cole? Do you have any input on that at all?
You guys hit all the main points on it, so I don't really got much to say about it.
So, we saw Aaron Reitzel win, and then we saw two of the posse members get second and third. We saw Anthony Macri, who he went on tour some, fell off, still going to count him as a posse member. Lance DeWeese, who isn't in the 69K anymore, which that was a very big shock, I feel like, when that happened. I feel like it kind of really ruptured the whole Pennsylvania scene.
I think you're right.
Whole.
I still,
that was weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
It's
Bell now.
Yeah, so Bell's in that sometimes, and then who was in it? Who was in
Pittman's been in it.
Yeah, there was somebody else in it this weekend,
There has
though.
been a few other people in it. It's very different to see that. You think of, Donnie Kreitz Jr., and you thought of him in the car, and then you thought Lance DeWeese, and that was really what everyone thought was just going to be.
It was just
now
until Lance retired, and it just wasn't the case.
Flipped on its head completely. So you saw Lance, he got third, and then fourth you had Brad Sweet.
Yep.
7-time.
Another high limit guy. So now we're
7-time World Outlaw champion.
2 high limit, 2 PA posse. And we haven't come to the first World of Outlaws guy.
Yeah, that was 5th place with David Gravel, your current points leader, on track to go back-to-back for World Outlaw Points Championships.
Then we have Wagner.
Yep.
Who's another PA posse.
Guy. Then you have Tyler Courtney at high limit. Then you have your next, after that, your
8th place
final top 10 Outlaw driver, which was Logan Schuhart, who was originally a posse member. So,
back in from Hanover, been on the Outlaw tour for a lot of years. Is he second in points in Outlaw right now? For some reason, I was thinking maybe he was second or third in points. So
tied. And then you have the two guys that really moved up through the race a lot was actually 7th place, Tyler Courtney, who started 16th.
Yep, he was +9.
Who is a high limit driver. And then in 9th place, you had Rico Abreu, who started 17th, who is another high limit driver.
Yep, he was +8.
So the Pennsylvania tracks and the high limits guys seem to do very well out there. It will be interesting to see how Knoxville goes this year.
Now, to defend the Outlaw guys for just a second.
Here we go.
The high limit guys were there Friday and Saturday. True. The Outlaw guys just showed up Sunday. So maybe that had something to do with that.
Look at the traveling, though. A lot of these guys have all ran it about at the same
amount
of time.
You're not wrong.
You can't. I think you can beat on that a little bit because obviously the track changes every time. It's a little bit different. The track work, yada, yada, yada. But these are all guys that have ran that track numerous times, and they all basically, if you really look at about the top 10, they've all, actually the whole top 10, they've had wins at Port Royal.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean,
more than one.
That's just it. On these shows that there's a combination. I mean, you take the top 15 from each of those series and you kind of smash them together, and then especially in Pennsylvania, you add in another couple handfuls of super stout local cars, and it's like, holy moly, now all of a sudden you got 40 cars that could potentially win the race.
It's crazy. So now, Cole, let's see how you think about this one, okay? 29th birthday, 50th career Outlaw win on his 29th birthday at a late model track in Ohio. Who do you think that would be?
I didn't know any of them were that young, to be honest.
Lemoore, California's own driver in the number 41 Jason Johnson Racing, Carson Macedo, picks up a win at Atomic Speedway on his 29th birthday, and it was his 50th career outlaw win at the age now of 29 years old.
Yeah, and maybe that's impressive. Don't get me wrong. That's extremely impressive. Maybe more impressive, though, is the guy that ran second in that race because he has had
the next two drivers.
Right. The guy that ran second has had absolutely no luck whatsoever as he's moved into the wing sprint car deal.
But was one of the greatest to drive a non-wing sprint
He
car.
was very, very good in the non-wing stuff. And I don't know that it's him. I think it's more bad luck and maybe some bad situations and stuff like that. But Chris Windham had a great run.
So, yeah, Chris Windham. And then Cole Duncan.
Yep.
A name you don't get to hear a lot of at all. And
No.
then Hunter Schoenberg, who is coming kind of back into that spotlight. And then another guy who I haven't said anything that had been in the top 10 probably in the last couple of years. Skylar G in the 99 car.
Yeah,
that
very
again
good
is a
run for
name
those
you have
guys.
not heard in a very long time.
Nope, he's one of those Ohio guys.
So we're going to go to points real quick with the Outlaw Sprint cars because right now we do have a tie for second in points, but with one more win, taking that right now.
Oh, the tiebreaker.
The tiebreaker, which they do go off of wins, goes to Buddy Kofoid right now.
Over Logan Schuhart.
Over Logan Schuhart. They are both tied. They are both 182 points back to David Gravel. What a surprise there. No one's surprised. No one's surprised. I'm definitely not surprised.
No, I think those guys got to string together some finishes to really put the pressure on him. But
And then you have Carson Macedo and then Shelton Hodenshield.
Yep.
And then coming back up into the kind of points running there a little bit is Donnie Schatz, who was back in like 11th or 12th, and he has had some late race luck here, I want to say. He's been doing a little bit better.
Yeah, I think they're
they
gaining
switched
on
over to the Chevy Motors away from the Ford program. Took a little bit to get resituated, I think, but a late surge here from the number 15. Tony Stewart Racing
they're
car.
definitely getting better, and I'm sure they want to continue to keep getting better.
All right, and last thing to talk about here, guys, we had one of the busiest weekends in motorsports here with the Monaco Grand Prix, the Indianapolis 500, and then we had the 600-mile race, the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. What a race. Ross Chastain from dead last, 39th.
Crashed on Saturday.
They only had 3 hours of sleep, got the car back ready, and went out, started 39th, and then won it.
Drove through the field.
And speaking of driving through the field, Kyle Larson early on in the race had a tremendous lead, like 2.5 seconds, and spun out, and then went absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
What a rough day. Goes to Indianapolis, doesn't have luck in the IndyCar. Goes to Coca-Cola 600 looking like he's probably going to win it. Spins out and is done, and then gets wrecked later on.
Yeah.
Collected by Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, definitely not the day that Kyle or his fans were definitely hoping for. And you know, me selfishly, I was hoping that he would do obviously better in the Indy 500 as well. But you know, he had some interesting comments after the Cup race of the timing of the two events and how hard it is to potentially do that, and the kind of made me believe that he may not try and do that double anymore.
I think it's hard. It physically on the body, you're going from driving a Indy car, which I can only imagine is much tougher than driving a NASCAR as far as the aerodynamics, everything. It drives completely different.
It definitely would drive completely different. I don't know that it is one is easier than the other.
Well, no, but I think I would just assume, just based off of the arrows and how it's not something he's as familiar in. It would be a lot harder than having to flip a switch and then go, okay, back on a plane, boom, now I'm in NASCAR mode for 600 laps at Charlotte, North Carolina, and my Cup Series car. What a transition. What a hard day that would be. Cole, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you look at those Indy cars, you see on, like, TikTok and stuff, how they have, like, the thing that simulates, like, how hard it is to steer, and you see, like, an everyday person go try it, and it's, like, the Indy car is, like, super hard to try to steer, and the brake pedal's so hard, the gas pedal's so hard. So I mean, that stuff, that's pretty cool to go watch and see stuff like that and see him transition through it.
Yeah. The other thing I think that's mind blowing, and TV does no justice to this, but to see cars averaging in qualifying trim 230 plus miles an hour, not going 230, averaging 230 plus miles an hour, and then in race trim averaging over 220 miles an hour. I don't think that TV does a good job of showing exactly how fast that is.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So, guys, it's been a great night here.
Absolutely.
We've had some great racing talk. We had Brayden Wood on, and that was a great interview. If you missed that at all, you need to go back and rewatch that. It will be posted on Steve Shetler Media on Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere else you can get your podcast at. Again, we are live here from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch, the home of TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We want to thank Ashley, Marla, and the rest of the Pizza Ranch crew for hosting us and giving us some good food here tonight. We want to thank Steve with Steve Shetler Media again for putting up with us each and every week. And we want to thank all of our wonderful sponsors that give us Tuesday Night Tune-Up. Without all of you, this would not be possible, and we are just so grateful for that. Thank you, Curtis. Glad to have you back.
Man, my pleasure.
Cole, thank you again.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on. And all right, well, hopefully tomorrow night we will have some racing action at the Southern Iowa Speedway. Again, glancing out the window here, we have got some of that R word, the rain word here. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night here at the Southern Iowa Speedway, and we will see you all at the races. And you can catch us again next week here live on TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We are over and we are out.
And we do thank, again, all of our sponsors. You know, we can't say enough. Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch treats us like royalty. They let us set up where we want, do what we want, eat what we want. So couldn't ask for a better hosting venue. We thank Oski Pizza Ranch, Nutrien Ag Solutions in Keswick, Sigourney Body Shop, Julie's Homestyle Cafe, Copeland Auto Body, Sinclair Napa, James Family Greenhouse, and Sigourney Motors. We'll do it again next Tuesday night here on Steve Shetler Media.